Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the council meeting. Time is 7:02. We're going to begin our council meeting, but before we begin our council meeting, we have a public hearing on 5 ordinances that were read into the record on first reading at the last previous council meeting from July 21st. First ordinance that we're going to have a public hearing on is going to be ordinance 1196. Ordinance 1196 concerning amending Chapter 2, Adequate Public Facilities, an ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of the Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, Local Government Article, the Annotated Code of Maryland, Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre City Charter to amend City Code Chapter 2, Adequate Public Facilities. I do have 2 filled out forms. I'll call on the citizens first, and then I'll open up to the floor if anybody else wishes to speak. Mr. Joe Snee. Good evening, Mr. Snee. Welcome to the meeting. May we please have your name and address for the record, sir?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, staff, citizens. Joseph F. Snee, Jr., 112 South Main, Bel Air, 21014.
Welcome.
Thank you. I rise in support of ordinance number 1196. And the purpose of the ordinance, as you said, is to amend the Adequate Public Facilities Ordinance here. It requires 4 things, if passed, in order to provide age-restricted housing in the city, 55 and up, with one person having to be 55 and up under federal law. Need a deed restriction approved by the Director of Planning and Zoning, consistent with the Harford County Code, which I'll get to in a minute. The declarations and covenants then have to be recorded in the land records of Harford County, and then finally governed by a homeowners association of some type. As I said, ordinance number 1196 does in fact mirror existing Harford County law. That law allows for housing for the elderly, again, age 55 and up, and the same requirements in terms of legal restrictions, the deed restriction, and it's approved by the city attorney. I did a project outside Bel Air 18 years ago, and we did a project 55 and up, age restricted, worked beautifully. I shared the deed restriction with the city attorney, who I want to compliment for drafting a nice piece of legislation and bringing it to the floor. The benefits of this bill: it frees up stock for new families, allowing the new family to move in and the 55 and up to move to new quarters. It attracts retirees with disposable income, people spending downtown in your local economy. And the presence of age-restricted housing increases property values, and there's empirical evidence across the United States to support that. So with that in mind, I thank you for your consideration of this ordinance 1196.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Another filled out form for ordinance 1196, Ms. Carrie Parsons. Good evening, Ms. Parsons. Welcome. May you please have your name and address for the record?
Carrie Parsons at Seago Street here in Havre.
Welcome.
Thank you. Regarding ordinance 1196, I do have some grave concerns regarding this amending the chapter itself. While I really believe that our seniors need adequate, safe housing, please understand it can be rented or leased under the HOA or condominiums association, provided it's part of their bylaws. But what happens when they're unable to fill or sell units? Do they then amend their HOA or condo bylaws to accept all age groups? So what happens? I just have concerns, given the situation that I'll be talking about later in citizens' comments, of what will happen to these individuals, especially if they're rented out under our current ordinances. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's all the pre-filled out forms I have for ordinance 1196. I will now open up the floor to anyone who's here to speak this evening on 1196? Any comments from council? Okay, without any further comments from the public or from the council, I close public hearing on ordinance 1196. The time is 7:08. We're going to move on to another ordinance for a public hearing, and this was given a first reading at the last council meeting. This is ordinance 1197 concerning amending chapter 25 to add new article 16, Havre Grace Housing Authority, an ordinance by the mayor and city council of Havre Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated code of Maryland, and sections 33 and 34 of the Havre Grace City Charter to amend sections of chapter 25 boards, committees, and commissions by adding a new article 16 pertaining to the Havre Grace Housing Authority. And I'd like to call for Mr. George Kasnick. Good evening, Mr. Kasnick. Can we please have your name and address for the record?
Yes, sir. George Kasnick, Green Street, Havre Grace.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm the vice chair of the Havre Grace Public Housing Authority, and I just wanted to express our thanks to the mayor and the council for the quick response and fully staffing our board of directors and also supporting the citizens of Somerset Manor and continuing to do so with this ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kasnick. And we thank you. And I'll call back Ms. Carrie Parsons. Welcome back, Ms. Parsons. We have your name and address on record.
Thank you, sir, but this is actually to, for us, not regarding the ordinance, but it is actually for the appointment of our Citizens Board member. So Council President, council members, and fellow citizens, Council President Ringsacher, on behalf of the Havre Grace Housing Authority Board, I wish to convey our approval of Ms. Dawn Randall Noack, who is in the audience with us this evening, to be considered by the council and mayor for appointment to the Havre Grace Housing Authority Board as our local resident. Her enthusiasm, integrity, and positive involvement within the community was the constant message from her friends and her neighbors. We hope the council and mayor will approve her appointment this evening to the board so we can fulfill our duties and mission. Mayor, quoting your words, sir, in previous sessions, we are stronger together. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Parsons. I'll open up the floor. This is ordinance 1197. Anyone in the audience here wish to speak on this ordinance? Sir. Good evening, Mr. Miller. Welcome. Can we please have your name and address for record?
Sure. Good evening, everybody. My name is James Miller. I live at 320 Lewis Street down in the R1 Historic District.
Welcome.
I came up here tonight because back when Phil Barker was mayor, goes back 25 years ago, I was the council liaison to the Havre Grace Housing Authority. And during that period of time, we were told we had nothing to do with that. And so my term of serving as their liaison ended because they said it didn't apply to the city of Havre Grace. Matter of fact, at the time, the county, they wanted to take the certificates that were issued up there back and spread them out throughout the rest of the county because they don't, at that time, they didn't like putting all the people into one spot because you end up, you're a product of your environment, and if you're living in an environment like that that's not good for the family, so they want to put you out in the neighborhoods to improve things. So I don't know who you could ask. Unfortunately, my memory is starting to slip, and you might contact Mary Ann Lasanti. I think she was the city manager at the time. She could fill you in on the details of why there's no more housing authority in Havre Grace. Now we're bringing it back up. So that's all I got. Thanks.
Sure.
Jim, what do you got going on here? What is this? You getting ready for December?
I'm going out for Santa Claus.
Ooh, Santa Claus competition.
It's gonna take me a couple of years to get a long beard, but
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Normally, sit in comment, we just let the comments roll, but since there's an ordinance tonight dealing with Public Housing Authority and there's an appointment, and everything former Councilmember Miller said is correct to his knowledge back when he was on the Housing Authority as liaison, if I could call upon the city attorney to just kind of update everybody on what we learned a little more than a month ago.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. So former council member Miller was correct. There were people on the Havre Grace Housing Authority years ago. There was council liaisons in history. I think former Councilman John Carreri was one as well. There were issues with the scope of authority that the city has over the housing authority. Our housing authority here actually dates back to the 1960s. Thomas Hayden was the first chairperson, and there were many known dignitaries from town that were on it. Somewhere over the years, the state law changed as well as the city law, and somewhere in that confluence of changes, what was missed was the state law provided that the local executive is allowed to appoint the Havre Grace Authority commission members, and that's really the only role that's provided. There can be some financial support, but it has to come about the right way. But in any event, over the years, because that was never codified in our city code or our charter, administrations just kind of took that, there's nothing to do with the housing authority, to such a point that we lost the historical perspective of what the city's role is. So under state law, the only thing the city can do is appoint the commissioners to 5-year staggered terms, and this code provision provides that bare minimum. And so we're rectifying what was not in our code before to allow the bare minimum to occur. So you are correct, that was the prior interpretation based on the documents we found in city records. But the last time anybody was formally appointed was early in the Craig administration, was the last we found. So we're trying to correct that. And it was requested by HUD that we take our role and do those appointments, and that's what spurred the current situation.
Thank you. We're still under ordinance 1197. Sir. Good evening, Mr. Smith. Welcome to the council meeting. May you please have your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Mayor. Kirk Smith, Otsego Street, Havre Grace, Maryland, 21078.
Welcome.
The Havre Grace Housing Authority does have a long history, and I'd like to thank the city attorney for clearing up some misconceptions. It's imperative, though, in any city or municipality, that when you have a housing authority or some other blended living arrangement, that the city or municipality be involved. And when this city found out, they jumped on it and got a hold of it. And why is that important? Because if there is no oversight or regulation, there tends to be an element of fraud that can be introduced. And that fraud directly impacts those people who need help the most. So I guess this commentary is more in the line of, well done. You guys jumped on it fast. The city attorney and Adam, I believe, had a point, and you guys got together a group of citizens who, in my opinion, are very smart, intelligent, two different things, and will help in a place that is desperately in need of help. So well done, sir.
Thank you. Okay, we're under ordinance 1197. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak? Any comments from the council? Okay, without any further comments from the public or the council, I now close public hearing on ordinance 1197. It is now 7:18. We're going to go to ordinance 1198. concerning amending Chapter 151 signs, an ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated code of Maryland, and sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter to amend Chapter 151 signs. I don't think I have any pre-filled out forms. I will open the floor up to the general public. Please raise your hand if you wish to speak. Any comments from council? Okay. Not any comments from the public or council. I will now close public hearing on ordinance 1198. The time is 7:19. Next public hearing will be on ordinance 1199 concerning amending Chapter 161 Stormwater Management, an ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopt pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the annotated code of Maryland, and the local government article, of the annotated code of Maryland, sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter to amend Chapter City Code 169 Stormwater Management. I do have one form. I'd like to call forward Mr. Jonathan Belts.
I do have a comment about stormwater management, but it wasn't related to the ordinance.
Oh, so you just want to wait till regular citizen comment? Okay, gotcha. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right, so I don't have any pre-filled out forms for this ordinance. I'll open the floor at large. Anybody wish to speak on ordinance 1199? Yes, sir. Welcome back, Mr. Miller. Your name and address is on the record.
Thank you. I serve on a new committee that the mayor appointed. We had our first meeting 2 weeks ago. We have another, kind of our first meeting where we're getting into the meat of the thing, where we're reviewing the charter. And what I guess I'm gonna ask is, if these are not emergency changes, give the committee a chance to work, because we're gonna go through page by page of the code and the charter and make recommendations, and we're adding stuff in there before we even get a chance to review it. And the committee might come back with recommendations that, you know, we don't support this and we recommend changes. So what I'm asking is, you know, just can you hold off on these unless it's an emergency, to give the committee a chance to come back with a report? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Anyone else wish to speak on ordinance 1199? Any comments from council? Okay, without any further comments from the public or council, I now close public hearing on ordinance 1199. The time is 7:21. Our final public hearing will be on ordinance 1200. An ordinance concerning approving capital cost recovery fee credits in exchange for capital improvement to Graceview Tower. An ordinance adopted by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated code of Maryland, and sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter to approve capital cost recovery fee credits in exchange for capital improvements to Graceview Tower. Is anybody here in the audience to speak on ordinance 1200? Yes, sir. Good evening, Mr. Smith. Your name and address is on record.
Thank you, Mayor. The pumpkins are growing great too, by the way. I have a small concern. Is the fees for the hookups locked in at one rate for this ordinance for the developer? Or will they change if the city adopts higher or lower fees?
I could probably answer that. To my knowledge, it's the same rate because the city did not raise the fees for the next year, and this should all take place within the following year. So it should be the
That's all
same
I wanted
fee.
to know.
Yeah.
I don't want to have us on the hook.
Yeah.
Any more than what we normally are. Thank you so much.
Yep, no problem. Thank you. Any other comments on ordinance 1200? Any comments from the council? Okay. Without any further comments from the council or from the public, I now close ordinance 1200. It's a public hearing. The time is 7:23. All right. Everybody want to do a council meeting? Okay, fair enough. All right, good evening, everybody. It is now 7:24, and I call to order a meeting with the Havre Grace Mayor and City Council. I will call the roll. Council President?
Here.
Councilmember Boyer?
Here.
Councilmember Snegas?
Here.
Councilmember Boger?
Here.
Councilmember Jones?
Present.
Councilmember Ellis?
Present.
Everybody please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and opening prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I could ask everyone to kindly remain standing, as it brings me pleasure to welcome Reverend Dr. Hugh Nash. Thank you for being here this evening.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Not to make you stand too long, but I already asked the council president just to, he helped me describe the way to say the name correctly. I was saying Havre de Grace, and it's Havre de Grace? Havre de Grace. You understand, I came from a little town in Colorado, and my Rocky Mountain accent gets in my way sometimes. But it also had a famous name like Havre de Grace, Havre de Grace. Havre de Grace. I'll get it eventually. I came from Greeley, Colorado. It was named after Horace Greeley. Horace Greeley was, in the 1800s, the editor of the New York Times, very famous person, who actually stopped in Greeley, Colorado, once upon a time on a train from Denver through Greeley to Cheyenne, Wyoming. Except he never even got... And I know that's not going to happen in this wonderful town, because in my pleasure to be here tonight as a representative of the Susquehanna Ministerium, I've walked all of the streets in this wonderful town. I've eaten in too many of the restaurants in this wonderful town, and I've bought who knows how many antiques in so many stores. So it's wonderful to be here tonight and to take part in this. Let us pray. Gracious God, you've shown us so many different ways, so many different roads that have come together tonight, from the Rocky Mountains all the way to the Chesapeake Bay. And we know that your presence among us all in many different ways and many different names that you have had throughout the ages. But tonight we ask you to give us one consoling and comforting time together, that we may deal as you would have us deal, no matter where we come from, what we believe, or what we want to do. Help us to do things as you would have us in your sight. Amen and amen.
Reverend Nash, thank you very much for being here, and welcome to Havre de Grace.
Yes, Havre de Grace.
Just remember, haves and have-nots, right?
Jim's going to keep on me. He knows where I live.
That's right. Thank you, sir. We appreciate your words.
Dr. Nash is a Vietnam vet.
Just received across the bay 100% disability from being that. So thank you all as taxpayers for supporting me so much.
Well, thank you for your service, sir. Thank you very much.
Kurt, sign him up, Kurt.
We're going to go to item number 5, approval of the minutes we have city council closed session minutes of June 16th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by the council president, seconded by Councilmember Shenanigans. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion approved, June 16th, 2025 minutes, closed session minutes, approved 6-0 in the affirmative.
Yep. So I have here the public summary of the closed session meeting minutes of the Havre de Grace City Council from Monday, June 16th, 2025. And I just read the highlighted portion? Okay. So the topics actually discussed: consideration of removal of a member of one of the city's commissions. Action taken. Motion made by Council President, seconded by Councilmember Boyer, recommending the commission member first be given the opportunity to resign prior to formal removal action. Motion passed 6-0. Action taken. Motion by Council President, seconded by Councilmember Shenanigans, that the council vote on removal of the appointed city commission member be kept confidential until such time as the member is able to respond to a request for resignation. Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you very much, Council President. We'll go to item B, City Council meeting minutes of July 21st, 2025. By motion to approve.
Mayor Martin, I'll be abstaining from this vote.
Gotcha. Any other questions or comments? Well, first of all, we need a motion to approve.
If I could ask a question quick.
Sure.
April, since I was presiding officer, would I vote on the meeting minutes?
You don't have to vote on the meeting minutes since you were presiding. Yep.
Mr. Mayor, I shall be abstaining.
Okay, so now we're down to what, 4 people? Okay, all right. Can I have a motion to approve these minutes?
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Boyer, second by Councilmember Shenanigans. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. City Council meeting minutes of July 21st, 2025 are approved 4-0 in the affirmative. We're going to go to item 6, which is comments from citizens. This could be comments on agenda items, or this could be comments on any other matter of city business. So now's the time to speak, whether you're here for an agenda item or regular city business. I do have 3 pre-filled out forms, and I will call on those citizens first. And then after that, I'll just open up the room at large. Anybody wishes to speak, just be mindful that we give each speaker 3 minutes to present. And we'll start with Mr. John Clisavage. Good evening, John. Welcome. Can we have your name and address for the record?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. 131 North Washington Street, Books, John Clisavage.
Welcome.
I'm here tonight to speak against a proposed ordinance that's on the agenda tonight, changing Pennington Avenue to a one-way street. I apologize for my drawing. It's not the greatest in the world, but I'll try and get there. Right now, according to the way I read the ordinance, it's being done to essentially add parking to the street. The way Pennington is laid out right now, it maximizes pretty much all the parking that you can get. Unlike Congress, which was changed as part of the parking recommendations to one-way, it was originally parallel parking, and by changing it to diagonal parking, it will definitely add a tremendous amount of parking to that area and allow access to the downtown area. My concerns about changing Pennington is that it will be a detriment. It will literally close off the traffic pattern to a couple different areas coming into the Main Street area that's just been all redone and looks beautiful. Part of that deal is that with our growth pattern right now in Havre de Grace, I don't know if I can show this well. The way that the streets are lined up, if you close off Pennington Avenue, the first problem that you run into is you have the firehouse on the corner of Union Avenue and Washington Street, Union Avenue, Pennington. That access to that is right now in both sides. So when a call out comes, those patrol people can head directly to the firehouse from multiple directions. If you close Pennington to one direction, it limits the access of them coming to the fire station and getting to it and parking their cars. Right now we have 7 parking spaces on one side for a firehouse and 2 on the others. Also, part of the vehicles that you see on the street, they're parked behind the firehouse. There's concerns on, just from looking at the situation, that they may have trouble pulling those vehicles out to assist with the main engine because of the fact that they're parked behind the building. If they enter down to Pennington, they would be driven towards the downtown area rather than onto Union Avenue. The other issue is the way that it flows down to the corner of St. John's and Market Street. As it comes down, we're gaining greater and greater amount of traffic on Market Street and on St. John due to the fact that we have a lot of major places to go. You have the boardwalk up here, you have the Maritime Museum, you have the Decoy Museum, and now you have Harmer's Market. According to their estimates, they talk about 25,000 people coming in per month. So if Market Street becomes a main access into the downtown area, if they miss Congress because of the fact that they look at it and see houses and so forth along that spot, when they get down to the point where they start to notice the Cannery and Vincenti's, they can't turn up that street for parking. They're forced literally down into the main part of town to Green Street, and at which point they can't make a U-turn up Washington Street. It's against the ordinance, against the law. So they're forced essentially to either to make a left on Green Street and go up to Union Avenue, or go all the way down to Lafayette Square and then make the turnaround onto Union Avenue. So essentially we're forcing our tourists to go past the downtown area and miss the access to the 100 and 200 block. So I would ask that this be at least tabled until more study is done, because we're not gaining any extra parking. If they decide to do straight-in parking, which has been suggested, there's a danger with the fact that with oversized vehicles like we have parked right now, like trucks, that they'll stick into the road. And also when people pull out of a straight-in parking, they're not always directed in the right direction. On angled parking, you pull out and you know which way you're going. Straight in, you can turn the wrong way and be going up a one-way road. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. I'd like to call forward Mr. Jonathan Belts. Good evening, sir, and welcome. Can we have your name and address for record?
Good evening, everybody. Jonathan Belts, 116 Bay Boulevard here in Havre de Grace.
Welcome.
As I'm sure you've noticed, we've had a bunch of rainy days this summer here in town. And on one such rainy day, I was doing a bit of house cleaning, and I came across this old copy of the Record newspaper from 2017. We actually used to have our own newspaper here in town. And the cover story on this details a 4-year and 4-stage plan about restoring and remediating flooding from Lily Run. And there's details of the 4 stages where they're to take place, and it included widening the banks, removing the sediment, creating wetlands and holding ponds, and removing partly blocked culverts that are impeding the flow of the water. And it also states in the article that it had the approval and support of the Maryland Department of the Environment, Army Corps of Engineers, and the Maryland Department of Natural Resources. It was also stated in the article it was expected to be put to bid the following spring in 2018. Then, a couple years later, there was a memorandum put out on city letterhead by the same former DPW director here in town that says, in an effort to reduce the flooding on Public Works is removing decades of sediment built up in the tributaries of Lily Run between the Avonic building and the BGE station, which roughly correlates to phase 2, as detailed in the article from a couple years earlier. Says it has obtained approval from the Maryland Department of the Environment to excavate the channel under their emergency provisions. And it is now 2025, and I'm wondering how we're doing on that project, because this was several years ago now. But I haven't seen anything about it, and since there were 2 articles, and the memo even came with 6 pages of photographs detailing exactly where they were going to remove the sediment. I walked through there a couple of weeks ago, and it still looks exactly the same as it did 5 years ago. But they had approval to do it. So I'm just curious, where are we at with that?
You know, and that's the thing, right? So we have data, if you don't mind, we have data everywhere, right? We have situations that have come and gone. We have data over here, data here. We have a siloed piece here. We have some over where Mr. Korkendorfer was council president, and he was thinking about doing a jetty project even at the same time we're talking about Lily Run, right? So I think once the council kind of collaborates, I think we might want to try to come up with an idea to put this data together so we can actually start doing something versus having a discussion, have a deeper discussion, and so we can actually move forward to create some kind of a raw solution and a mitigation strategy, you know, whether that's a commission or a team or a group, something that, you know, that we need to discuss, you know, up here. So I think that way that we can actually start moving something forward, not just a siloed type situation. So thank you, Mayor Martin. I appreciate the time for the comments.
No problem. Mr. Belts, it's a long story. Most of it has to do at the end of the day with funding, and MS4 credits, state agencies wanting to buy those MS4 credits, state agencies saying they want to pay for it for us, and at the end of the day, some of it fell through. But I'm going to hand off to Dr. Ritchie, Havre, who's probably been spearheading this recently since Mr. Gamatori left. So any updates, Dr. Ritchie?
Thank you, Mayor, Council, Mr. Betts. So the city most recently applied for a $2 million grant to help fund some remediation work in Lily Run, of which we found out that we did not get approved for. So one of the challenges, you did mention that there was a lot of approvals that the city had received. And while that's very true, unfortunately, some of the most important approvals the city did not receive, and that would actually be approval from residents to access Lily Run through their property. And I can
Sections detailed in this memo don't go through residential areas, they go through business districts.
There's a considerable amount of work in Lily Run that actually goes through residential property. And some residents, for whatever reason, have not been willing to give the city approval to access Lily Run through their property. So that's some of the challenge that we've been running into. But also, as the mayor stated, these projects are very expensive, and the city has been pursuing funding for them.
They didn't seem to have trouble getting money for the streetscaping project downtown.
It's a different...
No, we didn't. That's ARPA money, and we decided to use it for that. Like I said, as Dr. Ritchie said, we tried the project in some areas, but to complete the project in its entirety, we had to get permission from private property owners who said no.
But these aren't residential photographs. These are areas where Evantic is.
And we have. I remember back in 2017, 2018, personally seeing the backhoes dredging all that property behind Evonik's. Now, it's probably filled in a little bit by now, but the city has taken great efforts to release the congestion and the bottlenecking of Lily Run. And you're right, we got almost 4 inches of rain the previous Sunday. I mean, that's going to jam up almost any city that's historic, that's almost at bay level. I mean, it's...
This isn't a sea level issue. It's a stormwater management issue because of the culvert being blocked up and other things being blocked up.
Look,
it's a flow issue.
Not disagreeing with you. We're extremely familiar with it, and I think at some point, with that letter you just read from Mr. Whitty, who was our city DPW director, was it MD or was it MTA that was going to do the job for us? One of them was going to come in and do it because it was a several $million project and they needed the credits, and then they backed out of it. And at that point, we believed the project was going to be done. It was either MD or MTA. It might have been MTA. MTA. They needed they needed the MS4 credits, and they said, we're going to come in and we're going to do it for you. At that point, we thought the deal was going to be done. We put out the bid, and they pulled out of it. I mean, it's been a quagmire. Not trying to make excuses, but now we're trying to redo the whole grant funding process for this. There's things we can do in the interim that we did in the past and we revisited by, trying to clean out those culverts. But as Dr. Ritchie said, the big tuna, the big picture of it requires not just commercial areas, but residential areas. And the council met, I don't know, it was back in the spring. There's a property in Bay Boulevard that we're trying to buy from the property owner. The property owner is kind of dragging us along a little bit. We feel like if we can buy that property as a vacant lot, we feel like we can use that to try to alleviate it.
Didn't the city already own that once, a bunch of years ago?
The one on Big Boulevard, no. Well, if we do, I'd love to know that, because, I mean, no, we don't own that.
think they
We know who owns it. We've been dealing with it, but just, I want you to know, like, you know, it's on our list. I don't know, I mean, look, I know I'm not gonna give you the answer you want to hear tonight, but it's big dollars.
I'm aware of that. But so's everything else we do around here.
To add to
That always
that,
seems to get funded. We can run a trolley around for the tourists. We can fund that for free, but we can't fix this.
Yeah.
Where's the sense in that?
so to add to that, Mayor, last year, that specific area that you're talking about was again dug out by DPW under,
And why does it look exactly
very-
the same 2 weeks ago as it did in the photos from 5 years prior? The exact same sediments in the exact same spots, because I walked it and looked. I wasn't born last night.
because the sediment will eventually fill back in. That's one of the issues
Not in
that
5 years, just
exists.
like exactly it looks in the photos.
That's one of the issues that exists with Lily Run. And I believe, if I'm correct, I saw our DPW crew out there last week or the week before with the backhoe doing additional excavation work.
Really, where? I'd like to see it.
Backside of Revolution, probably one of the pictures you showed, back behind where the little cupcake place is, Revolution.
I'm quite familiar with it. I haven't seen any fresh dirt. What day was this?
Last Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, look, Mr. Belts, we heard you. This is not an inquiry. You asked us a question, we gave you an answer. You're welcome to come to City Hall and talk to Dr. Ritchie and Mr. Conway at your leisure. I mean, we understand it's a problem, and we'll continue to address it as best we can.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Belts. We're still under public comment. Item 6 on the agenda. I do have another form. Ms. Carrie Parsons.
Carrie Parsons, at Seago Street here in Havre, Grace. Council President, Mayor, may I please hand the items out? Is that permissible, sir? Thank you. I apologize. Under Chapter 147, under Ordinance 925, signed on April 18, 2011, placed this chapter under a moratorium. This moratorium it has grave implications across our city. Director of Planning, Mr. Goins, and Director of DPW, Mr. Conway, thank you. I really do appreciate your assistance. I admit that there are a lot of private and unlicensed landlords leasing buildings, rooms, houses, townhomes, you name it, to people. There are some landlords that are doing the right thing and taking care of their tenants and property by ensuring that repairs are made in a timely manner and, if needed, by a licensed professional. Unfortunately, this is one instance of neglect by a landlord that has been an ongoing situation since May of 2025. Tenants are being threatened by eviction, civil actions, if they report situations such as what you see in the pictures that I handed you. They cannot talk to the city, to their neighbors, to their friends, their code enforcement. Our rental properties should be inspected by a licensed inspector. There should be no difference for when I, as a private citizen, apply for a permit and get a final permit inspector, and they do their due diligence and they send a certificate stating that the property meets code and is habitable. Those photos are not showing a habitable property at all. Rental property licenses should be on file with the city for each piece of property. The tenant should be able to call the city if they're unable to resolve a situation with a landlord without fear of reprisal. These landlords should be held accountable. As I stated before, rental properties are a business. Landlords hide behind LLCs. Those LLCs should be in good standing and remain in good standing with the state of Maryland to rent property as a business. That second packet, the one that I handed the attorney, and to the director of planning and to the president, shows that that LLC is not in good standing, but yet they are actively leasing property listed in those pictures. Chapter 147 Rental Code protects the citizens of Havre de Grace, provides legal guidance to the city, to its interdepartments, guidance for the landlord and to the tenant. I implore you, my council, my elected council, please bring Chapter 147 out of moratorium and update it to protect all the citizens of Havre de Grace. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Ritchie, I was just informed of this situation right before the meeting. What's the update on this?
The property on Otsego?
Yes, Otsego, yes.
So where we currently are is on Wednesday, a contractor is coming out to remediate. So the issue at hand is a collapsed sewer lateral on the property itself. It appeared some remediation was put into place. We don't know by who, but it was not proper, nor effective, nor safe. So it was reported to the city today. It's going to be remediated by a contractor on Wednesday. That's as soon as we can get a contractor out. We've notified the property owner that they are obligated to put their tenants in a appropriate housing temporarily, like a hotel or something of that nature. And we are shutting the water off to the property to make sure no more, sewage winds up going into the collapsed lateral. So hopefully Wednesday it'll all be remediated. And
Okay, all right. Thank you very much for the update. Appreciate it.
Mayor, may I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
If there are citizens who would like to make an anonymous complaint or a complaint on behalf of somebody, what is the process they should use?
so the first step would be to reach out to the planning department, to the code enforcement officer, and report it to them. But if anybody has any concerns, or if they don't feel like they're receiving appropriate satisfaction from that department, or if they would just like to come to administration, the citizens are most certainly welcome to reach out to myself or any staff in administration, and we would be happy to help them.
Okay, I don't have any more pre-filled out forms for citizen comment. I'll open the floor at large. Please raise your hand, be recognized, wish to speak. Yes, sir. In the back? Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Miller. Welcome back. Mr. Miller, we have your name and address on the record.
Yeah, I still live at the same house unless my daughter kicked me out. I came up to talk about Pennington Avenue, and I don't think you should change it. It's two-way. There's angle parking on both sides now. You're not going to gain anything by making it one way. You're not going to get any more spots there. One thing you might consider is making Green Street one way the other way. The only thing you have to do is change the signs and then put signs in that says back-in parking, because there's been studies that show that back-in angle parking is much safer for the children, because you have wild little rugrats, they open the door and they run behind the car. Well, if you're back in, they open the door, they can't get past the door, so they have to go to the sidewalk. And that would improve people coming into Havre Grace to the downtown rather than moving them out. Now then, when you get down to Washington Street, the new brick and the sidewalks look great so far, but St. John and Washington Street need the signs put back up there, and legal signs, not these little tiny things that says no right turn or no, they should be official signs that say no U-turn on Washington Street, no U-turn on St. John, because people come down there and it's not really wide enough to make a U-turn, and I've almost been hit a couple times there. And while you're thinking about changing streets again, the 400 block of Lewis Street, since the hospital closed up, and that could be opened back up to two-way traffic. No more emergency room, no more thing. You know, the people on the other side of Union Avenue, they didn't want their street changed, but nobody lives on the 400 block. Thank you. Maybe I'll come back for one more thing, but I will.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Mr. Smith. Welcome back, Mr. Smith. Your name and address on the record.
Thank you again, Mayor. Your administration reacted very fast to a problem today, and I greatly appreciate how fast everything was done. On to the good of the city. The officers of the American Legion Post 47, Joseph L. Davis, the Sons of the American Legion, and the American Legion Auxiliary will be holding their induction of officers on the 13th of August, 2025. At 1800, there is a light dinner being served at 1700, and I'd like to invite everybody, but I think there's some rule or some fancy thing where you can't all be in one spot at one time. But I know the mayor is a current member of the Sons of the American Legion in good standing. I know that Councilmember Boker is an actual American Legion member because I've replaced him as the vice commander. I know that Bridget Johnson is an active member of the American Legion, and one of these days I'm going to have her sign up to be in charge of the riders. There's a lot of people. ALA, right there. So you guys work it out, but that's the 13th of August, and there's a lot of really good people who have volunteered not only their time to help out veterans, children's, Americanism, and their community. These are the same people that signed a blank check, some of them upwards of 25 years, to serve this country, to protect our freedoms, to peacefully assemble, to address our grievances, and express our compliments to our elected representatives. So if you can find some time, I'd like you all to stop by, because these are important members of our community. If you have any questions, our adjutant is Ms. Carrie Parsons, 22-year Air Force veteran, and I think you all know her. You can email her, and I expect that we will be getting the exact set of order for what's going on the 13th. It looks to be a well-founded and well-attended event, and you're all invited. Please come. Questions? Yes, ma'am.
What time does the event begin?
1700 starts the light fair. We have been given a budget, and we will be getting a cake made by local baker Jamie Bakes.
Great, thank you for the invitation.
I'll probably be the one that has to carry it by hand down there, because that's how I roll. Please cross your fingers that I don't drop it. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're still under item 6, comments from citizens, and I'm still opening the floor. Sir.
Jonathan Belts again, same address as a few minutes ago. I wasn't aware there was a proposal underway to make Pennington Avenue a one-way street, but I guess the proposed benefit was for some parking gains. But I've always regarded it as a main thoroughfare east-west through the city, and have used it many times myself to get from this side of town where I reside over to the other side where the Opera House, the library, and professional offices and things of that nature are. And my knee-jerk reaction is that making it a one-way would disrupt the traffic flow of that and probably not be in the best interests of whatever it was that the ultimate goal was supposed to accomplish. Just my 2 cents since I'm here. I'd like to keep it a two-way street.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the council? Any comments from the council members? Okay, without any further comments, we will now move on to item 7. Item 7, appointments. Council President.
Mr. Mayor, Council, citizens all, I move to nominate Don Randall Nowak for the Havre de Grace Housing Authority.
Council, I have a motion by the Council President. I have a second.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Boker. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The appointment of Don Randall Nowak to the Havre de Grace Housing Authority is approved 6-0 in the affirmative. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you.
Item B, Councilmember Boyer.
Mayor, I move to reappoint Carrie Parsons to the Street and Traffic Safety Advisory Board.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Boyer, seconded by the Council President. Questions or comments? Yes.
I just want to let you all know that Carrie is one of those people that you can always count on to be at one of these meetings and to have input and to come prepared for the meetings. And I truly appreciate her participation in it and look forward to her reappointment to the board. Over.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Boyer. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
I would just like to say that Carrie Parsons is a very conscientious citizen, and I appreciate that she does her homework in advance. And I know that she puts safety first at her heart, and I think her reappointment is a wonderful opportunity for her to continue with that passion she has for our city. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay. This is for the reappointment of Ms. Carrie Parsons to the Street Traffic Safety Advisory Board. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The approval of Ms. Parsons carries 6-0 in the affirmative. We're going to go to item 8, oath of office, and I do need to administer the oath of office to Ms. Nowak. And could I have you please join me in the front, please? And Council President. Congratulations. So happy to be on the team. That's awesome. For your name, I'm like, do me a favor, just stand right here, and you're going to speak into this mic.
Gotcha.
Okay, this is going to be pretty painless. I want to ask you to raise your right hand. Correct. And I'm going to say the word I, and what I need you to do is repeat the word I, but also say your name, okay? I
Don Randall Novak,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will fulfill
that I will fulfill
the requirement of
the requirement of
office I'm about to assume,
the office I'm about to assume,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will be faithful
that I'll be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland
and support the Constitution
and support the Constitution
and laws thereof,
and laws thereof,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
without fear of favor or prejudice,
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as a member of
as a member of
the Havre de Grace Housing Authority
Havre de Grace Housing Authority
for the city of Havre de Grace
for the city of Havre de Grace
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Don. Well done. What we say around here, pictures are denied. Okay, as we move forward, Item 9, recognitions. This evening, we have no recognitions. Item 10, proclamations. This evening, we have none. Item 11, presentations. This evening, we have none. Item 12, resolutions. We have none, which takes us to ordinances. This evening, we have 2 ordinances for both first reading.
Do you want to amend it to correctly and?
That's not a problem. I'll just pull it up. No worries. Okay, item A, ordinance concerning granting rights of way to BGE. I'll hand that off to Councilmember Jones.
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you. I move to introduce an ordinance concerning granting rights of way to BG&E in connection with the Amtrak Railway Bridge project in the first reading.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember Jones, seconded by Councilmember Shenegis. This is a motion to introduce an ordinance on first reading. Questions or comments on the introduction? Did you?
No, go ahead.
Is your name on that ordinance, Johnny?
It is right
Yes.
there.
Yeah, on page 32.
Is it on the council packet one?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So as a motion to the introduction, you want to clarify that it's under Councilmember Jones's name, or is it under Johnny's name?
It's under mine.
In the agenda, it's in her, I think, I wanted to make the amendment to the, however you want to work it.
Just whoever wants to have their name.
Yeah,
on it.
so I mean, I motioned to amend the council packet to replace my name with Councilmember Jones' name.
Second.
So,
Yep.
your name on it.
A good faith amendment.
Okay. So it doesn't, I don't think it takes a,
She introduced it, why do we need to make it?
because on the packet,
In the packet, my
it
name's on
says
it.
Councilmember Boker.
Yeah, it's just.
And so, since we're under introduction, I just want to clarify whose name is on the ordinance, just before we start getting into the nitty-gritty of stuff.
Right.
So it's just a friendly amendment saying, hey, I'm cool with it. It was a thing on the packet.
I'm absolutely fine. That's what, yeah, and thank you for that, Mayor. So I make the motion to amend.
Okay, friendly amendment. Councilmember Jones's name's on the
Sure.
packet
Yep.
instead of Councilmember Boker. Okay. All right. Friends again? Okay, all right. Okay, so that was under the motion introduced. So we're going to just clarify that Councilmember Jones's name is on the ordinance, and she also introduced it, of course, because she made the motion. And seconded by Councilmember Shenegis. Any other questions or comments on the introduction? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce ordinance carries 6-0 in the affirmative. An ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution. The Local Government Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland and Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter and City Code 177-5 and 177-6 to grant certain rights of way to BG in connection with the Amtrak Railway Bridge project and for the adjustments to annual utility pole and conduit fees. Council to have okay, and this is also going to be ordinance 1201. This will be known as ordinance 1201. Council to have a motion to adopt ordinance 1201 on first reading.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by the council president, second by Councilmember Shenegis. Questions or comments?
No, I just want to thank Councilman Jones for actually finally, reading through the packet and be like, oh, there's a mistake here. So I appreciate that. Yeah. And we're not perfect. We make
Absolutely.
mistakes.
I do my due diligence.
Yeah,
Thank
there you go. You see, I read that packet. Yeah, no doubt. So thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Yes.
So on the last page of the packet is this very detailed diagram, which I, the layperson, have no idea what this means. Can somebody speak to it a little bit so that we have some clarity about it?
Ms. Ishak?
So it's funny you said that, Member Boyer, because I am in communication with BG&E. That is the entire BG&E relocation plan, which is being done pursuant to the Amtrak Railway Bridge project. So they're requiring them to move some of their streetlights, et cetera. However, the particular right-of-way agreement is only applying to the locations along the Water Street properties. So I asked them for some clarifying language on that. But that's the entire, they gave me the entire plan for the Otsego, Water Street, Union Avenue section of the bridge reconstruction. But the BG&E portion that this right-of-way relates to is along Water Street.
Okay.
So they're relocating the lines on Water Street.
So are we going to have an amendment to remove this?
It's just going to maybe highlight the
Okay.
section and then some language in the body of the
Okay.
right-of-way agreement itself. The ordinance won't need to be amended, but the right-of-way agreement will show that.
Aside from not being able to read the itty-bitty tiny wording on it, it was just very overwhelming. Do you have more, Joe?
No, just as April said, it's involved relocating several utility poles, and it also, specifically for the Water Street, is they have to move the main power section. It's right almost under Amtrak Bridge, and they're going to move it into our right-of-way near where the parking lot is for the boat ramp, which helps us out in the future to be able to have power for lights. So it works out for us. It's a win-win.
Is that going to be the permanent location for it or a temporary location?
Yes, permanent.
Permanent location.
Yes.
Are we going to lose parking? Okay.
Nope.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other further questions or comments? Okay, this is ordinance 1201, first reading. Roll call vote. Councilmember Boyer?
Yes.
Councilmember Shenegis?
Yes.
Councilmember Boker?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones?
Yes.
Council President?
Yes.
A roll call vote of 6-0 in the affirmative. Ordinance 1201 is adopted on first reading. Council President, any objections to the public hearing on August 18th at 7 o'clock?
That's what I've got.
Okay, public hearing on ordinance 1201 will be at the next council meeting at 7 o'clock, August 18th. Item B, Councilmember Boyer.
Mayor, I move to introduce an ordinance concerning approving a change in the traffic pattern on Pennington Avenue for first reading.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember Boyer, second by the Council President. This is a motion to introduce an ordinance on first reading. Questions or comments on the introduction of this ordinance? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to introduce ordinance carries 6-0 in the affirmative. This ordinance concerning approving a change in traffic pattern on Pennington Avenue, first reading. Ordinance by the Mayor and City Council of Havre de Grace, Maryland, adopted pursuant to the authority of Article 11E of the Maryland Constitution, the local government article of the annotated Code of Maryland, Sections 33 and 34 of the Havre de Grace City Charter to change the traffic pattern on Pennington Avenue. Council, I have a motion to adopt on first reading.
So moved.
A motion by the Council President.
We need a second so we can get to discussion.
Okay, all right. Fair enough. Adios.
Motion fails.
Motion fails. All right. Okay, we're going to go to item number 14, old business. Item A. Council President.
All right, real quick, I just want to explain, the intent was to pass it so we could actually have a discussion on it, but nobody else wanted to second it, which means it fails completely. So it just won't be reintroduced. So moving along, I make a motion, Mr. Mayor, to untable the special event that was tabled on July 21st, 2025 for Celebration of Life on August 16th, 2025, from 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. for Tidings Memorial Park, including the gazebo, due to more information received from the organizer.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion on the table by Council President, seconded by Councilmember Snakes. Questions or all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion on the table carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Okay, do you have a motion to approve the event?
Make a motion to approve it. Yeah.
All right, motion to approve by the Council President. Anybody else?
Second?
Second by Councilmember Snakes. Questions or comments?
So yeah, we tabled this because the information we got was very vague. We didn't know what the group was or what it was. It said Celebration of Life. We thought that it could have been just for somebody's funeral. We didn't know what it was because we didn't get the information, and we tried to get all the information, which is actually now in the council agenda packet. So we're pleased with the information we received, and I pray that the council votes yes.
Perfect. Anybody else has a question or comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to approve Celebration of Life carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Item 15, special events. Dr. Ritchie.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. For your consideration this evening, we have one special event. It is the Havre de Grace Out of the Darkness Walk, scheduled for November 1st from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Tidings Park. Thank you.
Council, I have a motion by, I have an event presented by Dr. Ritchie that I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by the Council President, second by Councilmember Jones. Questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion approved. Havre de Grace Out of Darkness Walk carries 6-0 in the affirmative. Okay, we're going to go to item 16, reports from our directors. We're going to go to Dr. Ritchie, Director of Administration.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, colleagues, citizens. So this Saturday is Dr. Rocco's Battle of the Bands at the Star Center. So the winning band will receive a cash prize, and they will be able to perform as the opening act for a flock of seagulls who is performing at the Star Center on September 25th. On Sunday, August 10th, the Little Mermen and the Princess Pals, the ultimate Disney tribute band, is performing at the Star Center. And on Saturday, August 16th, Completely Unchained, a tribute to Van Halen, is performing at the Star Center. And you can get your tickets to these and other great shows at starcentermd.com. I do want to mention on Saturday, August 16th, the Youth Commission is partnering with the Emmanuel Quickly Foundation for this year's Refuel for School Youth Festival. And there's a bunch of free activities for the family, and it includes inflatables, face painting, sports demonstrations, and free backpacks full of school supplies for the children that attend. And you can learn more about that event and all the other events that go on throughout the city at explorehavredegrace.com. And then I do want to offer a thanks to all of the people that were involved in the Lafayette Bicentennial. It was kind of a unique celebration in the city where there was nonprofits involved, the city was involved, just many interested citizens and other organizations throughout the city were involved. And for how many moving parts there was, it was really an excellent event outside of the extreme temperatures. And I do feel bad for anybody that was in costume or,
dressed in wool.
Yeah, any non-weather appropriate clothing that day. But it really came across very well. It was nicely done. And I do want to offer a special thank you to the American Legion. And I'm not sure which group within the American Legion was responsible for it. But as I said, it was a very hot day, and there were several members that were there that made sure that there was water in a shaded place for people to come cool off at, and they were like actively observing the crowd for symptoms of like heat stress and things like that. And I just thought that was a really wonderful example of the quality of people that we have in this community, and I just do want to thank them for doing that. That was something very nice that they went above and beyond for, and it was important, especially on that day. So thank you to that group of citizens, and that concludes my comments for the evening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ritchie. We're going to go to Mr. Goings, our Director of Planning. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. We had a strong start to the fiscal year with 52 building permits applied in July. 19 of those were new construction, 3 single-family detached homes in Silent Hill, 12 townhomes in Greenway Farms, 3 townhomes in Bully Rock, and then the shell permit for the condo building in Bully Rock on Parcel N, which contains about 28 dwelling units. We had 9 renovations or additions, and those include decks and screen rooms, and then 24 other permits, which include sheds, fence construction, dumpsters, solar panels, and other minor ancillary permits. And that concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Mr. Goins. The mayor had to step out, so I will be calling upon Miss Bridget Johnson, Director of Economic Development and Tourism.
Well, thank you very much, Council President, council members, and citizens in the audience at home. A couple of quick updates. On July 11th, in partnership with the Havre County Chamber of Commerce and the Havre de Grace Chamber of Commerce, we conducted a ribbon cutting for DIY Wellness, which is located at 910 Revolution Street. I would like to thank Councilmember Shanegas for coming out and supporting us on that day. And it is a very nice new business with a lot of wellness activities that they offer. So again, they are located at 910 Revolution Street. We have also received several grants in the last, or awarded applications within the last 2 or 3 months. So we received $50,000 from DHCD for the continuation of our facade and interior fit-out grant. We have been consistently receiving this grant since 2007, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 years during the COVID time period. But this is good for us. We have a lot of interest now in the facade and interior program within the Main Street District, and a lot of that has to do with the new look of the downtown. They've seen the new streets, the planters, everything that we've been doing, and now the business owners as well as the tenants are now investing within their own properties. We have 3 applications currently active, and I have 4 that I know are sitting on someone's desk waiting to be approved. So that's good for the city. We were also awarded $25,000 from DHCD for the continuation of our Main Street Improvement Program. So we're happy to have that funding as well. And we were also received $20,000 from the Havre County Tourism Grant for the Holly Jolly season tent and festivities that take place in December. So we have had some awards come in. This is really good. EDAB does not meet during the month of August, so we will resume in September with our new council member, and I'll be sending you more information on that. But we always meet the 3rd Wednesday of each month at 4 o'clock here in council chambers. The Tourism Advisory Board has been busy because they didn't take the summer off at all, like the EDAB did. So they will be meeting Wednesday, August 20th here at 10 a.m. in council chambers. We have been invited to be a part of the America 250 celebration. Laurie, our tourism manager, is on the Havre County Committee to commemorate and celebrate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. This is a lot of work, as was the celebration of Lafayette last week. So Laurie will fill us in with additional details, but I'm sure we'll be doing something through the tourism office as a participant. And First Fridays was great. We had a lot of volunteers. From our standpoint, it went really well. Everything was situated. It was great to have the 100 block of North Washington Street opened again. So we are completely booked for September and October, including Food Truck Alley. So if we have any cancellations, we will call vendors because they're always calling us, but we are completely full. And that concludes my report, Council President.
Outstanding job, Ms. Johnson. Moving right along, Mr. Abdul Abdi, Director of Finance.
Thank you, Council President.
Council members and citizens, Havre de Grace. I'll present the financial conditions for June 30th, 2025, our fiscal year 25. These are preliminary numbers, so it will change as we get towards the final closure of our fiscal year. On to the General Fund 1, the fund balance to date stands at $2,429,300, which is up $540,800 since my last reporting, which I think was June 16th. In terms of the beginning balance, it has not changed and currently stands at $2,349,600. Revenues to date is $28,657,200. And expenditures to date is also $28,577,500. In terms of our enterprise fund, the water sewer fund, its fund balance currently stands at $5,309,700, which is down $96,000 since my last reporting. In terms of the beginning balance, it currently stands, which has not changed. It currently stands at $1,746,800. Revenues to date stands at $19,021,700, and expenditures to date $15,458,800. The last enterprise fund, the Marina Fund 8, fund balance currently stands at $975,200, which is up $9,700 since my last reporting. Beginning balance has not changed. It currently stands at $761,900. Revenues to date, $841,600. Expenditures to date, $628,300. That concludes my presentation in terms of the financial condition of those three funds. In terms of our financial audit, our auditors, Zielinski Elstrad, external auditors, are due to do their sample field works starting on August the 25th, which is a little over 3 weeks away from now. So that concludes my comments for today. Back to you, Councilmember.
Thank you, Mr. Addy. Next up, we have Mr. Joe Conaway, Director of Public Works.
Council President, council, colleagues, and guests. So the large grinder pump at our Erie Street pumping station, which is a big workhorse, has been rebuilt and will be reinstalled in the next 2 weeks. And we're in the process of buying all new backup pumps for our sewer pump stations for redundancy purposes. And that concludes my report.
Outstanding. Thank you so much. Chief Crass.
Good evening to you, Council President, council members, citizens. So the only thing I want to report out on tomorrow is a big day for us. So it's National Night Out. So we will be starting our events at Somerset Manor at around 4:30, and then we will be over on Ontario Street. It'll be closed between Adams and Stokes. We will be there with the Ontario Otsego Positive Action Committee, who hosts us every year. And so we're really looking forward to that from 6 to 8. And while all that's going on, we'll also be representing our department with the Harford County Sheriff's Office National Night Out. They're going to be at the Harford County Equestrian Center. Now, they have a much larger event, and it'll be police, fire, EMS, canine demos, displays and outreach. They'll have private organizations and kids' activities there. But, I mean, if you go up to the Equestrian Center, then you miss out, because I know our council members will be on Ontario Street. So that's a win right there, when you can get to come out and rub elbows with our council. So we're looking forward to it tomorrow night, and that is all I have to report.
Thank you very much, Chief. And we're going to go to comments from Council. We're going to start with Councilmember Booger.
Hey, thank you, Mayor Martin, directors, citizens with us in the audience, and those who are at home. We've had a couple of August birthdays that's come to my attention. I think one of them was the 1st of August, which is our very own Councilmember Vicki Jones. She turned 29 on the 1st of August. Right? I mean, it's just repetitive in nature. My son Cody turned 35 on the 3rd, and of course my wife is celebrating. We are celebrating her birthday tonight. It's her birthday, so I will not tell her what her age is because I'll be in big trouble. But you're right, Chief. You're absolutely right, my friend. So just right down to business, right down to council business from council. There's been a lot of discussions back and forth in regards to Lily Run And just the vast, I mean, there's a 3-inch binder somewhere on all the history with Lily Run and all these particular data points. And a lot of good thought has been put into some of the mediation, some of the engineering processes. And I probably can't even tell you how many thousands of dollars have been put into the studies already, engineering surveys, this study, that study. There's an ongoing effort right now to determine what it would take to do funding. There's a study in order to do funding, to get funding, some more funding, which I think that's an ongoing effort. But I think my point is that there's a lot of issues, there's a lot of data points here, there, and everywhere. And myself and Council President had a quick discussion. And what I'd like to motion tonight is whichever works, and I'll be the chair of it. You know, I have no qualms with that whatsoever, because I want to congeal these things into some kind of either a group or a committee or a commission, so that we can start actually do a better job at collecting these data points, so that we can do something. We've got a little creek that literally crosses Revolution 2 times, right? It laughs at us when it goes under the road, and then it hits the CSX, and it's like, what do I do now? Then it goes to the left, and then it comes back under the Revolution once more, but this time it's flowing upstream. It actually flows against, the river flows down, and now Lily is actually running right across and bisecting our city. And I know that there's a lot of educated people who can get together and who know a lot more than what I do, and we actually start taking steps, with a forward motion, right? Working with the city administration, working with the different directors and engineering. So I'd like to make that motion tonight. If a motion is to be made, I'd like to make that motion that we form a group, a committee, or a commission for Lily Run.
Mayor, if I can. I think it's the prerogative of the council president. I can appoint a committee with you as the chair, Mr. Ellis, since he lives over there, and Councilman Boyer would also like to be on the committee.
Absolutely.
If you three could meet, discuss the issues, and try to gather the historical data, then we can look into possibly creating a commission in the future. I've already spoken with Mr. Belts about it before, through email, about possibly having some citizens on some commissions. But I charge the committee with formulating some ideas and trying to gather the historical data. Does that work?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
A committee would be fine.
Is it possible to have staff assistance with that? Can we have somebody from the administration
Yeah, sure, by
support?
request. If you need information or a staff member to attend a meeting, just let us know, okay?
I think having Joe would be incredibly helpful. I mean, you've been part of practically every DPW project in the last 20-some years, so I think it's really important.
Sure, just email Mr. Conway and copy myself and Dr. Ritchie on it, and we'd be happy to help you in any way we can.
Thank you.
All right, so committee shall be formed. No motion is necessary for that, so that's fantastic. Appreciate those who actually spoke on behalf of it, and for those who are underwater and who have lost some financial loss due to that flood. Hopefully we can start making some progress in the right direction. So in closing, I want to thank of course, the DPW. They've been on it this past month, right? You go and see anybody in DPW, they're not in the offices, they're out there making it happen. They're wearing their Carhartts and their weatherproof boots, and they're out there making it happen. So, but I want to thank the DPW, the police department, as I do always, for their safety, the Susquehanna Host Company, the EMS, all of our first responders, keeping us safe. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilmember Boger. Good evening, Councilmember Ellis.
Directors, citizens, and council. Councilmember Boker mentioned a couple birthdays. I want to mention one more. I was able to give a proclamation this weekend to Gospel Tabernacle Church here in Havre Grace. It was their 101st anniversary, and that was a very cool service to attend. I attend church pretty regularly, but I never got up and spoke in front of a church, so that was exciting. So I appreciate the opportunity to do that. Also, Dr. Ritchie already mentioned the Refuel for School event. I wanted to remind everybody that's August 16th, 3 to 6 at Concord Point Park. And this year, due to donations, we're able to give out free hot dogs and food as well as supplies. So I wanted to thank the American Legion here in Havre de Grace for making that happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Ellis. Good evening, Councilmember Jones.
Good evening, Mayor, council, citizens at home, and citizens in the audience. Just a few things for me. One, I did want to mention, I wasn't at this past First Friday because it was my birthday, but but I have heard from some community members who have reached out to me and are concerned about what they're hearing as far as youth at First Friday. I'm usually there every First Friday, and I haven't seen anything in particular, but I'm pleased that some folks have reached out to me about the topic, which we also recently discussed at the Tourism Advisory Board meeting, and thought about activities that we could have for these young people. And so I really want to have that not as just a piece of conversation, but actually figure out what we can do so that there is something for teens to do and middle school age people. I think about it and I say, okay, back in my day, we had the mall and we went to the mall. This is the same thing. It would be great if we had something for them. So I was really pleased that I did get some emails from some constituents with ideas that I have shared with the Department of Economic Development. And encourage anyone else, if you have ideas, to reach out to me. And I would love to work with the Youth Council, with the administration, and with the chief on some of these things. You know, I worked with young people for about a decade, and I still work with them now. So I'm happy to provide some support there. And the last thing I'd like to just mention is that I have been appointed to the Maryland Municipal League's Legislative Committee. And I'm as the representative for Harford and Cecil counties. And I'm mentioning that because I'm really excited about the opportunity to work more closely with other municipalities and figure out what we're going to put in front of the General Assembly. Just to give an example of some of the things that we've talked about, property tax assessment, bike lanes, state shared revenue, family support for youth programs and resources for funding, food insecurity, and then municipal incorporation and transportation. So those things I do expect to hit Harford County and Cecil County, as I said, as well. So I'm just looking forward to really being able to bring back to you some of those thoughts and ideas and share with you what other municipalities are saying and what we're focusing on here in our area. So thank you, Mayor.
Sure. Thank you very much, Councilmember Jones. Good evening, Councilmember Boyer.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around this evening. I want to start off by thanking everyone who is the Arts Commission for putting together a wonderful season of summer concerts down at the park. The last one was amazing. It was a beautiful night, and we are just very blessed to be able to live in a community where we can have a space and have so many people who could just come out to enjoy the arts together. And I want to thank everyone who volunteers on that commission because it truly is loved by everybody within the community, especially within my neighborhood especially. I want to thank everybody for the Lafayette 200th celebration. I want to thank the mayor for bringing General Lafayette to my corner. He stopped by Washington and Lafayette Street to get his picture taken. And my next door neighbor, Calvin, who is in middle school now, looked at him like, what is he here for? And why is he dressed like that? And then I was able to explain to him not only who this person was, why that person was significant, but more importantly, why it's significant that he lives on the corner of Washington and Lafayette. So that was kind of a cool thing. And then finally, I want to remind everybody that we have another special day coming up. This Thursday is National Lighthouse Day, and from 4 to 8 o'clock, the Lighthouse will have festivities. They're going to have a children's story hour between 4 and 5, and between 5 and 8, they'll have face painting with Southpaw Studios, and it's just a great day to come out and recognize the importance of our lighthouse, how it really is. It's a cornerstone of Harford County history. You look at any picture of what people depict Harford County, and it's our lighthouse that's always there. So if you could come out and be a part of it, it'd be appreciated by all the volunteers of the lighthouse. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Boyer, and good evening, Councilmember Shenakis.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, Administration, citizens in the audience and at home. Well, it sure is been a lovely change in weather for all of us, cooling off a little bit, almost a hints of fall, and with school coming to, I should say, not coming to a start, but we are going to be starting refuel for school. So I know that kids and families are thinking about it. There's about 3 weeks left, and possibly opportunities for kids to just enjoy the rest of the summer and families. So I think it's great that we're having a little bit of a cool off with the weather. I know that I had an opportunity to see the Youth Sailing Club in action last week. They're doing a phenomenal job with the program that they have. I've been monitoring them the last 5 years, and it's really a program that's growing. They're receiving grant funding to help bring STEM education into their program, and they're also able to provide scholarships to the students. Families that might not necessarily be able to afford such a camp, they've given over $5,000 worth of grants to kids so that they can attend. And the greatest thing of all was to see the counselors that grew up as little campers, 6 years old, all the way growing up and graduating from college, coming back as the camp counselors for their summer job to share their love of sailing. So good job to Captain Rick and the people that are helping fund that program, which I know that our city, we definitely make sure that we give a portion of our budget to help them as well. So if you have an opportunity, you get to go see them this week, and that's it. So they're there about 9 a.m. to 3 out on the bay. Another opportunity for our wonderful kids at camp, the Star Center presented a theater camp, Finding Nemo Jr., and I had the opportunity to see those kids attend the camp and bring their efforts to fruition at the Opera House, and they performed a lovely, lovely rendition of Finding Nemo Jr., and they really just pulled their skills together and their costuming and worked together as a team, and I got to see kids that I know and kids that I don't know come in and work together, and I think that that's built a lot of community for kids in our area, and I would love to see that program to continue. And it would be great if grant opportunities could come forward as well at the Star Center for theater camps. Now, as we head into the rest of summer, I definitely know that I'm going to be attending the Jazz Festival this coming Saturday. There's a lot going on. There's also the concert for the Battle of the Bands. So try to get out and enjoy as much as you can, and be sure and ride the tide and get involved. Attend any events you can. Try to stop in and shop at our local shops and our restaurants. They need your love. We get a lot of tourism, but they also love to see their citizens. So thank you very much, everyone, for all your efforts working together as a city. And I just appreciate so much that you come in and talk to us about your concerns. You reach out to us, and you're why we're here, citizens of Havre de Grace. Thank you so much. Back to you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Shenakis, and comments from Council President.
Mr. Mayor, Council, citizens all, Councilmember Boker, it was my birthday last week, too. It said it was my birthday last week, too, the 24th. So, yeah. That's all right.
Well, he was just doing August.
Just August, I know, so we missed the Julys. But speaking of birthdays, I did get an email tonight from Donna Mandel. You guys know her from the Havre Farmers Market. She has awesome pork. Their sausage is absolute best. So she said that the Havre Farmers Market is celebrating 30 years in Havre in 2025, and they're recognizing this milestone at their September 6th market with a special market bag giveaway. WBEL TV will be on hand to interview market vendors and visitors, as well as generally showcase their wonderful market. And that starts at 6 a.m., and the bag giveaway is for the first 300 customers. I have really no other business except I do have a motion here because it wasn't on the agenda. I can say it under my citizen comments, my council comments. I move to go into closed session upon adjournment, under the Open Meetings Act, General Provision, Article 3-305. I move to go into closed session upon adjournment of the open session on Monday, August 4th, 2025, to consider the following matter. 1, to discuss a personnel matter. 2, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice. 3, to consult with city staff, the city attorney, about pending or potential litigation. This meeting will be closed under General Provisions, Article 3-305B, to discuss the appointment, employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom this body has jurisdiction, and any other personnel matter that affects one or more specific individuals. 7, to consult with counsel to obtain legal advice. And number 8, to consult with staff, consultants, or other individuals about pending or potential litigation. The reason for closing this meeting is discussion concerning personnel matters are entitled to confidentiality. Consultations with the city attorney regarding the advice and pending or potential litigations are entitled to confidentiality under the attorney-client privilege. The city council will not resume open session after the closed session, and votes, if any, will be recorded in public at the council meeting on August 18, 2025. And that is my motion to go into closed session after the adjournment, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Council, I have a motion by the council president, seconded by Councilman Schnagus to go to closed session at the conclusion of this meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Council approves the motion going to closed session at the conclusion of this council meeting, 6-0 in the affirmative. Anything else, Council President?
No, sir. Thank you.
We're going to go to comments from the mayor. A couple updates. At the last council meeting, well, first of all, what I want to do is thank the council president for filling in for me at the last council meeting. I took my wife on vacation, and the only time I could get out of town, I missed a council meeting, so I apologize. It's the second meeting I missed in 17 years.
I only messed up a little bit.
I know. Well, the first meeting I ever missed was during COVID, August 2020. They wouldn't let me in the building. But anyway, I want to thank the council president for filling in and the council members and my staff for working with you. So I appreciate you doing that for me. I didn't realize you read 5 ordinances in the record. I come here, I got 5 public hearings I got to do, right? What's going on here? Anyway.
I only messed one up.
That's all good. It's all good. But thank you again. I appreciate it. You did such a good job, I might take off more often.
Hey, there you go.
All right.
I might quit.
But at the previous meeting, this was the first meeting in July, I established a temporary committee called the Washington Street Committee. And that committee's purpose was to meet to discuss any kind of options of Washington Street, the 2 blocks that got renovated, any kind of closure, temporary closure, weekend closures, some kind of dining arrangement, stuff like that. Figures worthy of discussion. Have a lot of people asking about if the city's going to do anything different, so I thought I'd let people talk about it. I heard they made some preliminary recommendations, but I'm waiting for the minutes to be approved before I respond to them. But they're supposed to report back to the council on September 1st. I'm just letting you know that they've met twice and they've made some preliminary recommendations, and I'll update you once I get those minutes at the next council meeting. And so I do also have an update. I also formed a committee called the Red Tape, well, I nicknamed it the Red Tape Committee, and the whole purpose of this committee is to scour our city code and remove anything that is outdated, antiquated, not necessary, more than cumbersome than state minimum law, anything like that. And I put just a few people on this, citizens that are either in the banking industry, real estate industry, development industry, and there's one former council member on it. So, and it's being led by Mr. Rybczynski, who's chairing it for the city, and they will meet again on August 7th at 3:30 here at City Hall. Okay, just letting everybody know. Every meeting is open to the public if the public wants to look in. Jim? Oh. Okay. Let's just say 3:30. If you're here early, it doesn't start at 4. It's an air-conditioned building. Okay. And finally, there's another executive order I wrote up to pretty much just solidify the terms of the individuals who are serving on the Havre de Grace Housing Authority. There was some discussion earlier, and Ms. Ishak gave a great explanation of why all of a sudden the city of Havre de Grace is in the Housing Authority business. It is our job, we really don't run the Housing Authority, but our job is to appoint the members who do run the Housing Authority. And I had to write an executive order to memorialize this. I'm going to spare you all the whereases and now therefores, but basically I'm going to read the terms as follows. On this executive order, it's titled Executive Order 2025-3, and Michelle Ball will have a 1-year term. Mr. George Kaznick will have a 2-year term. Ms. Sharon Jacobs will have a 3-year term. Ms. Parsons will have a 4-year term. And newly appointed Ms. Nowak will have a 5-year term. So, Ms. Ball, 1-year term. Mr. Kaznick, 2 years. Ms. Jacobs, 3 years. Ms. Parsons, 4 years. And Ms. Dawn Randall Nowak, 5 years. I just want to memorialize this with the executive order. And so this past Tuesday, the 29th, we had fireworks. We were celebrating Tuesday. No, I'm kidding. So, trust me, I got a lot of text messages. What are the fireworks for on Tuesday night? So, if you've been following a lot of the social media or like signs around town from the lighthouse or whatever, I mean, you kind of know that we've been gearing up for that date, July 29th, 2025, because exactly 200 years ago, prior to that, General Lafayette, Marquis de Lafayette, in his older age, gave America one final tour on the request of President Monroe. And he came to the United States from France in 1824. And he toured almost every state that was in the Union in 1824. And he concluded in 1825. I mean, he went to Ohio, he went to Pennsylvania, he went to Kentucky, he went all over the place. Well, as he was coming back down, to Washington, D.C., he was in Port Deposit, meeting the good folks at Port Deposit. And the story goes, a commissioner, and he was going to leave Port Deposit that day and go down to Baltimore by boat. And the story has it, a commissioner from the town of Havre de Grace went up to Port Deposit. Now, we didn't have mayors back then. We didn't have mayors until 1878 when we became an incorporated city. So it was a town commissioner. Went to Port Deposit and implored the good general, could you please swing by Havre de Grace and say hello to our good citizens? After all, we named the city after you. Le Havre, right? Anyway, well, from his suggestion. And so he was delighted to stop by. And the story has he stopped by for maybe an hour or two and, shook hands and said a few words. And then he was on his way to Baltimore. And that date hung out in Havre de Grace history forever, our namesake, because he did come, his first time here was in 1777 on his way north to join General Washington's forces. And supposedly this trip in 1777 is when he stood on the shore of the Susquehanna and the Chesapeake Bay, and he commented that our town, which was called Harmerstown back then, looked an awful lot like Le Havre, France. Well, think about it. This dude was only like 20 years old at the time, and he was a major general, granted that by our Continental Congress. And he made a comment, and the comment stuck, and we changed our name almost immediately, like 1785. And we changed our name. And he came through again in 1783 on his way to Yorktown. But then he didn't come back again. They say there was a third trip, but it's not documented or proven, but he did cross the Susquehanna somewhere between here and what is now Conowingo Dam. But he came around here 3 times in the 1770s and 1780s, but he came back on July 29th, 1825. And he had a really good experience here, and our citizens remembered it. So on this past Tuesday, we recreated that whole event. Now, it wasn't just the city of Havre de Grace. Trust me when I tell you, the whole country was celebrating his bicentennial tour. All these towns in New York, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Ohio, they're all celebrating his arrival, bicentennial arrival, on the actual day it took place. So it was very important, rain or shine. He was going to be here on the 29th of July because that's when he was here 200 years ago. And so luckily the weather, was sunny. It was sunny. It was very, very, very sunny on Tuesday. And I don't know why he couldn't come through here in like November. So myself and a few other people, we put on colonial attire made out of wool, and we went up to Port Deposit. And Port Deposit had a nice reception for him, and I beseeched the general to board a Susquehanna Hose Company fireboat, and he joined us to come down the Susquehanna River to Havre de Grace, in which I was blown away, because you never really know how many people follow web pages or signs on the road and things like that. And I was impressed. There had been a couple hundred of our citizens on the banks of Hutchins Park when we pulled up. It was very hot outside. I mean, I don't blame people for skipping this one, but it was like hot. And the man who character played Lafayette, he was one of 3 people they rotated in and out over the last year and a half. They had a young Lafayette, like a middle-aged Lafayette, and like an older Lafayette. And they would rotate these character actors. And this man spoke fluent French. He was an American, spoke fluent French, had a master's degree in all things Lafayette. I mean, he was really interesting to talk to. He said this is one of the best receptions we had from a town our size. I mean, it's one thing when you go to New York City and there's thousands of people, but from a town our size, he was like, this is the most people I've ever seen. I said, we haven't seen nothing yet. I mean, we have a statue, in your likeness, right in the middle of our town when you come in. And first thing you notice when he hopped off the trolley was, the medallions of the Lafayette Trail. So he was blown away, and he said to me, does this Washington Street intersect a street named Lafayette? I said, it does, and I know who lives there. And all he wanted, like his biggest thing was to get a picture with, the Washington Street, Lafayette Street signage. But there is one story I'd like to say. And it'll take me 1 minute, but I think it's a very good story to tell people. And I know there's a few people in this audience that heard this story. One of my comments I made, and I verified it with this man, and it says it's a true story. I read it years ago, and I'll never forget it. The presidential election of 1824, President Monroe served 2 terms, and he decided not to run again. This is before the Constitution prohibited a 3rd term. Monroe was a popular president. In fact, they call it the era of good feelings, the 2 terms that Monroe had following the War of 1812. There were 4 men running for office in the election of 1824. It was John Quincy Adams, Henry Clay, William Crawford, and Andrew Jackson. Well, Andrew Jackson won the election with the popular vote. Andrew Jackson won the election, if you want to say who had the most electoral votes. But Andrew Jackson didn't win the election according to the Constitution. The Constitution says whoever becomes president must have a majority of the available electoral votes. To make it simple for you, if there's 4 men running and there's only 100 electoral votes, one person has to get at least 51. It's not who has the most votes. Someone has to get a majority of the available votes, if that makes sense to you. Jackson did not get a majority of the available votes. He had the most electoral votes, but he didn't get 51% of the available votes. So the Constitution says when that happens, the House of Representatives gets to decide a race. So remember, you have 4 people here. Jackson came in first, Adams came in second, Clay came in third, Crawford came in fourth. The election's always in November. The House didn't vote on president until February 9th. Now let me remind you, this was a very, very, very ugly, contested, nasty election. This was the first election in which the people running for president were not veterans of the Revolutionary War. This was the first generation of the sons of the veterans. And it was people who thought Andrew Jackson, born in a log cabin, should be president, versus a man like John Quincy Adams, who was, born in Main Tree, Massachusetts, whose dad, had good means. Everybody knows his dad, John Adams, the 2nd president. House of Representatives voted on February 9th. and handed it to John Quincy Adams. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, why? Henry Clay, the guy who came in third. Who became the new Secretary of State? Henry Clay. Who became the new Secretary of Treasury? William Crawford. Who didn't have a job at all? Andrew Jackson. Now, it goes down in history. I mean, you can't prove anything, but it goes down in history as known as the corrupt bargain, because the man who actually took the popular vote and most electoral votes did not become president. But that took place on February 9th, 1825, and the reason I'm telling this story is that night, President Monroe invited John Quincy Adams over to the White House for dinner to congratulate him on becoming the next president of the United States. John Quincy Adams walks into the White House, meets Monroe, they sit down and they have dinner, and there's a knock on the door. Andrew Jackson. You should, like, I can only imagine how quiet everybody was, because this was a hotly contested race. Andrew Jackson walks right into the White House. They didn't have Secret Service back then. He walks right into the White House, walks right up John Quincy Adams, shakes his hand, and congratulates him on his victory. And the President Monroe said, "Would you please join us for dinner?" And he did. But they had one other guest there that night, visiting from France, General Lafayette. He was in that dinner meeting that night when General Jackson knocked on the door. And the reason I tell that story is to think about a man like Lafayette who spent not just his youth fighting for the American cause of liberty, but he went back and he championed the French Revolution, and he was a fighter for liberty around the world. Human justice, equality, liberty, justice, and that he lived to see the experiment almost 50 years old from the date of the Declaration of Independence, the transfer of power without, it got nasty in the newspapers, it was a war of words, but at the end of the day, it was a handshake, and General Jackson came back 4 years later, and we all know he won the election easily. But I just wanted everyone to know that the man who we named our city after was an ardent supporter of rights and human liberties. And he came here last Tuesday, and we had fireworks for him, and he was blown away. No, I'm sorry, that was a bad. He was blown. I did not do that intentionally. That was not for a fact. He was impressed. He was impressed by the fireworks, and so he had a lot of handlers. I mean, this was a national organization that moved him through these towns. He had a lot of handlers, and they said, Havre Grace is the first city to actually shoot fireworks off for Lafayette. We're impressed. I said, well, this is what we do, man. Havre Grace always takes care of people. Of course, I'm thinking to myself, we're already paid for it and didn't get a chance to use our New Year's Eve fireworks. We're already paid for it and didn't get a chance to use our Defenders Day fireworks. I'm thinking, okay, sooner or later, I just would have shot them off for First Friday. But anyway, we had all these fireworks in the queue we haven't shot off yet because of rain delays. And before I go, there's one other thing I want to say. Normally I don't talk about these things, but I just want to say it for thought. There's an ordinance on the agenda tonight about making Pennington a one-way street. And I just want people to know that we don't pull these things out of thin air, and we don't have a dartboard in my office where say, what can piss people off tomorrow? We don't do that. I mean, Pennington Avenue has been a problem for years. And what I mean by that, you have to think more than just the direction of the road. One of the worst intersections is when people are pulling out of Pennington across Union, towards the library, or trying to make a left on a Union. That's a tough intersection right there. Most of our pedestrians that get hit or almost hit on that crosswalk is that intersection. Another problem is how many times, and we've seen this a lot being down at Pennington and Washington a lot with the construction, people just do complete circles right in the middle of the intersection. They do that, complete circles. Or they'll head down Pennington and there's no parking, but there's parking on the other side, so they do the U-turn at the end of St. John's and they come back up. A lot of U-turns, a lot of people stop and do three-point turnarounds because the parking is available on that side, not on this side. The idea was to introduce this ordinance tonight, to give it a first reading for debate and discussion, and the reason why it was put on here tonight is because within the next couple of weeks, we're going to be milling and overlaying Pennington Avenue. It's pretty rough right now from all the construction, and we're going to redo the road. What we thought, if we gave it a first reading right now, we would be, and should it pass, I don't know if it's going to pass or not. Well, obviously it's not because it didn't get a second. But if we did the first reading, and if council would decide to go that direction, we'd be ready to do it immediately, because once they repave Pennington, they're going to have to stripe it one way or the other. And we thought we would have this discussion sooner rather than later, rather than painting white stripes black and then re-angle them. That's why this came out of nowhere. I wanted to get the first reading into the record, and if there was no support, to let it go, but we wanted first reading. But that was the gist behind it, and we wanted to install handicap parking spaces, because currently there's no handicap parking spaces for individuals with disabilities in that whole area right now. And we figured, as people were coming one way, it was going to be fishbone parking, angled parking. We were going to put a handicap parking spot on each corner, one by the apartments, one by the wine bar, one by the record store, one by the visitor center. And if two on your side are, rather than, well, these are full, I got to turn around again and come back to get the other ones. So we thought it'd be a better flow of traffic, and people would come down to Pennington, and they can make it right on St. John and right back up Congress. That was one way. I thought it was worth a discussion. I couldn't tell you if it was going to pass or not. And the only reason it was on the agenda tonight was, should council thought, okay, after talking about it, it'd be a good idea. I wanted to get it done before we striped the brand new street. So everyone out there that think it's a horrible idea, I'm sorry. I thought it was worth the discussion. It's an issue we've been dealing with for a while. It didn't get a second tonight. I'm done with it at this point. If another council member wants to bring it up, they can. But the streets will be redone, and they'll be restriped with two-way traffic. So with that said, I have a motion to dismiss. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilmember Jones. Do I have a second? Second. Second by the Council President. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion to adjourn, carries 6-0 in the affirmative. The time is 9:05. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good week.